SEC charges Richard Hart and his crypto project with conducting unregistered offerings of securities and raised more than $1 billion from investors. And immediately the price of PulseChain, PulseX and HEX fell off a cliff. The price of all three projects dropped around 70% within 3 days, and even though it might seem like it starts to recover, there is still a lot of uncertainty in the market and the direction is unclear as of now. So in this video, I will touch a bit on what are the allegations against Richard Hart and how serious this stuff is, and more importantly, what's the future of his projects? Are they gonna slowly bleed to zero, or was that just an amazing buying opportunity? I just wanna say that I hate to be the guy that comes and say, I told you so, but I told you so. In my last video, where I shared my opinion on the PulseChain's launch, in which I received quite a bit of negative comments by the way, because I basically said that I'm short-term bearish on PulseChain and the rest of Richard Hart's projects, and I draw you the price action I was expecting for the upcoming months. I also gave you my personal buy zones, which as you can see were visited. Obviously, the price action didn't play out as I anticipated, but such a black swan event was not involved in my plans. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I was expecting that, because I clearly didn't. But what's important is that the price went down exactly where I suggested, no matter the time frame. It just seems to me that some people never learn, because when HEX was at 10 cents and I was warning that the price will go down and that it was simply not a good time to buy, people were calling me fodder, unsubscribing, hating me in the comments and etc. You know what happened next. It's visible on the chart. And the same story here. I was just analyzing the chart, which was clearly looking bearish, losing every support area and being unable to claim back above it, and also consider the terrible macro and some other stuff that is going on in the world, and I simply said that I'm short-term bearish and I expect further downside price action. And unlike your favorite influencers, I never tell you to buy, sell or hold any coin. This is all up to you and you should manage your risk on your own, as well as be responsible for your actions. You must have a clear plan before you invest in any crypto coin, and that's why I always say that you should have a bullish plan and a bearish plan, because there's no guarantee that the price was going to do this. I was expecting it, but the market could have done its own thing, and that's why you have to be prepared for both scenarios. And how do you do that? Well, that's when you have some exposure to the market as well as a healthy cash position for the pullbacks. I did not say to sell your position because the price will go down and you can buy lower. I would never say that. It's not only because it would be a pure FUD type of thing, but also give you financial advice, which is something I don't do on my channel because I am not a financial advisor. Yet people point their fingers at me and say that I'm the bad guy and that I spread FUD. No one is warning you about the downside and everybody is just talking about the upside, how you should hold, how good these projects are, how much money you're going to make, and so on and so forth. I know people like to hear this type of stuff, but I'm here to give you the other perspective and my reasonable thoughts. I want to emphasize reasonable, because that's what separates the random FUD from the technical analysis and any other analysis. You can say whatever you want down in the comments, leave me dislikes and all that, but at the end of the day, people that found my thoughts reasonable and decided to stay on the sidelines were saved from a big loss, and they had a chance to buy the perfect bottom so far, and that's all that matters. Being able to see outside of your bias is what will make you a good investor. If you wanna feed your bias, just go and watch diehard Hexicans or Pulsicans or whatever. They will non-stop tell you about the good stuff and how the current price might be the best price you'll ever get on PulseChain. But the reality is, you can't just shout buy the dip for 2 years now, because that's a bull market strategy, not a bear market strategy. During a bull market, that might be a good idea, but the bear markets can be pretty brutal and last for a few years. The newbie is gonna listen to their favorite influencer and just hop in on a random price on a random day with all of their life savings. You're never gonna make it if you listen to perma bulls. They just don't have a clear, unbiased vision about the market. That's why most people are unable to make it in crypto, because they listen to people that will tell them to buy at whatever price. HEX is 95% down from this area here, when I told you that it is not a good time to buy, and I strongly believe that the price will go down, and it will go down a lot, and it's also 99% down from the all-time high. So this is the time you have to be interested in to get into. Not here or here or here, but right here, when the price is super low and basically everyone is underwater. There is a lot of uncertainty in the market and bulls are scared. That's the time you should consider investing and potentially make those huge returns in the bull market. Not buying at 10 cents or 5 cents because people told you HEX is going to $5 in a few months, because HEX has its own cycle and it doesn't care what Bitcoin does and all that, and you calculate that if you buy at 10 cents and sell at $5, that's 50x and you're gonna make this amount of money and blah 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 blah. This stuff just doesn't work like that, and it's the same story with Richard Hart. He's unable to warn people about the downside because this is his project. He can't say the price will go to 1 cent or whatever, when we are over here, let's say, because the price will literally go down to 1 cent in a couple of minutes, and all he does is just say how HEX is designed to perform well in a bear market, how unique it is, how the price will go to $1 million per coin and all the other nonsense, because that's his project. He constantly says how he's trying to save people from rug pulls and scams and protect them from losing money and all that, but what about his projects? Like I said, HEX is down 99% from its all-time high, and at the peak of the bull market, the market cap of HEX was almost $85 billion. Now it's less than $1 billion. That's a $84 billion loss. How many people lost their life savings, do you know? And people blindly believe everything he says and pull the trigger right away. You can't listen to someone who is 100% biased, simply because you'll never get the whole picture. And that is valid for all the HEX influencers who hold massive bags across all projects, and they won't do themselves any favor to say something negative about Richard Heart or his projects. But anyway, I think it's time to move on, because I guess I made enough enemies with the stuff I said, but if I helped a single person to realize that I'm here to protect the investors and not the projects, then I'm actually glad that I spent my time explaining all this, because if the bad stuff hit the fan and there is a 99% chance PulseChain, PulseX and HEX go to zero, these people will never tell you to sell. They will fight tooth and nail to protect the projects and their backs, but not you. No one cares about you. You're just the stupid retail that will buy someone else's bags at the top. So I'm here to protect you and not be the stupid retail. Now, one thing I want to point out is that even though I gave you my buy zones and the price of PulseChain reached my last target, like I said, I was not considering the actions from the SEC against Richard Heart. So this is still a great entry and the upside potential is very good, but you must be aware that things could escalate and the price could drop even lower. Well, I know that when the price is going down, it always looks like that will keep going down, but here the case is different, because we have a lawsuit and the problem is not that Gary Gensler is calling HEX, PulseChain and PulseX securities, but that he also sees misappropriation of funds, and that's not a civil case anymore. Richard Heart can't just pay the fine for offering securities, because misappropriation of funds is a criminal charge, and if the Department of Justice takes action as well, things can get very nasty, because if he loses the case, he might get a life sentence, and that's not a joke. I know this sounds too exaggerated and it will scare a lot of people, but this is a real threat, and I don't make this stuff up. All this is literally in the SEC documentation. Of course, he can go to prison only if the Department of Justice files a lawsuit against him and he loses the case, like I said, but you must be aware of all that before you put any money, so manage your risk accordingly. I don't know how likely is the Department of Justice to win the case, but I think there is a very high probability that they at least file a lawsuit, and that's of course based on the SEC documentation. I know people from this community don't like to hear this kind of stuff, but it is what it is, and investing is not to hope that this won't happen or that won't happen, but always managing your risk based on all potential scenarios. Like I said, all three projects are currently at a great spot to buy and hold long term, because they are undervalued. Can they go lower? Of course they can, but these are levels that you should be looking to accumulate if you have the conviction that they will go up in the future, because based on pure price action excluding the potential lawsuit, it's more likely the price to go up than down, and even if it goes down a little bit more, the entry will be around the potential bottom, and that's what your goal should be. I really hope you enjoy my content and find it valuable, because that's all that matters to me, and if you don't want to miss any videos in the future, consider subscribing. But that's it for now. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.